All right, everybody. Nancy Pelosi has decided to hold off on a vote to authorize Trump impeachment inquiry. This comes from Politico. It was updated on just earlier today at 7:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, and Democratic leaders will hold off on a full House vote authorizing an impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump, according to multiple lawmakers and aides. Democratic leadership sources caution, however, that the decision could be reassessed at some point. Nancy Pelosi has decided that they're not going to put forward any articles of impeachment, meaning that this so-called impeachment inquiry is being controlled by, the House Judiciary Committee, the House Intelligence Committee, which means this isn't actually a formal proceeding. This is nothing more than a series of investigations. Now, if they're alleging that Trump had committed wrongdoing or that the president has done something illegal, why not do the exact same kind of process that you had done when it came to him whether or not he had colluded with the Russians? Appoint a special counsel, appoint a prosecutor. The article continues. Trump, White House officials, and Republicans on Capitol Hill have seized the absence of such a vote as an unacceptable break with House precedent and have vowed to resist what they describe as an illegitimate probe. Democrats defended their current impeachment process, which has multiple House committees interviewing witnesses in private and gathering evidence related to the allegations that Trump and his personal lawyers, Rudy Giuliani, pressured Ukrainian officials to begin an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son or risk losing military aid. Now, there's already issues with this for multiple reasons. One, the Ukrainian president has already come out and stated clearly that he didn't feel pressured by Trump. If there are allegedly multiple whistleblowers that are coming forward that were there, I'm sure they're probably going to say the same thing. Because currently, right now, the one whistleblower that's received the most attention is getting his information from secondhand knowledge, and apparently, according to the New York Times, works in the intelligence agency, specifically within the CIA, and had previously worked on the National Security Council when Vice President Biden was the vice president back in the Obama administration. So this already reeks of political controversy and a significant amount of conflict of interest and based on political motivations. But the Political Article continues. The processes that are being pursued are consistent with the Constitution and the laws, and by the way, Republican rules, insisted House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, Democrat from Maryland. He called the House vote authorizing the inquiry not necessary. According to David Cecile from Rhode Island, also another Democrat, says it's completely unnecessary. He writes, the only time a floor vote is required is if and when articles of impeachment come to the floor. This is an effort by the president to distract from the shocking and serious allegations of misconduct. But the issue is it's not. The fact that Democrats are simply saying, hey, we'd rather hold the House of Representatives because we don't want a bunch of red state Democrats to lose their seats when they actually vote yes on impeachment, tells us that this is pure political, and the political calculus of Pelosi. So much for trying to say that this is about the country and the Constitution, like I had mentioned earlier. I think she's thrown the idea that this is about, the good of country and putting party over the nation. She is doing this to maintain her House majority and to give ammunition to destroy Trump in 2020. This is purely for the election. This is purely to weaken him and limit his political clout and his effectiveness to govern, and more importantly, his ability to campaign. To ensure the Democrats come out to vote. Because if they don't have an impeachment inquiry and they try to muddy and sully the president's name like they have been since he got elected, then all that this does is put Trump in a more vulnerable position than he would be if this were to actually go forward. All that Pelosi's going to do is maintain that these investigations go on and come out with these so-called bombshells after bombshells and not actually have a vote. The article continues saying that yet Pelosi and other top Democrats could not come to an agreement amongst themselves during discussions on Monday over whether to move forward with the vote, which would have been a dramatic escalation of their impeachment battle with Trump. House Democratic leaders quietly reached out to the most vulnerable members of their caucus to gauge whether or not they would support a formal vote to authorize an impeachment inquiry, according to multiple sources. House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, a Democrat from South Carolina's office, had led the outreach effort, and the issue was discussed in a closed-door leadership meeting. Democratic leaders are trying to get a read on whether these members are following, members are going to be following a 2-week recess. Now, I understand that Pelosi wants to maintain her House majority. If she can, they control a variety of these committees and the ability to investigate and subpoena Trump. It has been her position since they retook the House in 2018 that it's better to investigate than it is to go full force and move forward with impeachment like those on the radical left, like Rashida Tlaib, who had went forward and said, we're going to impeach this motherfucker when it came to Trump. So I can see where she's coming from. So she's trying to maintain a very fragile House majority. And given the recent wave of Republican retirements and announcements that they're not going to be seeking re-election, she's trying to hold on to the House and maintain her power. However, what this does is it gives Trump the ammunition that he needs, because he's already said that, listen, you're not allowing me to have the due process protections that come with a formal impeachment inquiry. Because when this happens, I have the ability to have witnesses and cross-examinations, face my accusers, and go forward when it comes with any other process of a criminal trial. Because calling this an impeachment inquiry, but all you're doing is investigating alleged misconduct from an individual who gathered information from secondhand sources that allegedly worked on the National Security Council while Vice President Joe Biden was in the White House as Barack Obama's vice president. This reeks of the political kind of targeting and controversy that is giving Trump the much-needed ammunition he needs to fend off this inquiry. All he needs to say is that this is politically motivated, and that they haven't come forward with the necessary legal question to actually pull the trigger on an impeachment proceeding. Meaning that all that Nancy Pelosi is doing is trying to generate enough political power and enough political capital to maintain her House majority and to give some kind of ammunition for voter turnout for the Democratic base in 2020, both for the presidency and to take down the Senate. Nancy Pelosi's a lot smarter than she looks, but she needs to be careful, because if she doesn't go forward on with an actual proceeding, then Trump is going to continue to delay, he's going to continue to ignore, and he's going to continue to fight back, and all that's going to do is going to make a lot of Republicans pissed off, and they're going to vote in November in 2020. So that's all I have for now. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this kind of content. Leave a comment down below. I love to engage with your thoughts and what you all have in mind. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. I have some long-form content coming up regarding China and Syria, so you guys stay tuned.